This is a Film Stories original podcast.
We made this.
Welcome to the X-Cast. The truth is in here. I'm your host, Sarah Blair, and today I've got Cortlan Waters Bartley joining me for ranking. Hi, Cortlan.
Hi, Sarah.
How's it going?
It's going awesome. It's going great. The weather is beautiful.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. We haven't had a drop of rain here, so that's good news. I suppose. I hope we're not headed for a drought.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We don't have Daryl Moots to save us, so.
Daryl.
Oh, Daryl. So, Cortlan, we need to ask you the 5 questions of X.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like I've escaped it. Like I've just sort of dodged it.
Do your best. There's no wrong answers. No wrong answers.
Oh my.
Yeah. So, okay. So question of X, number 1. Tell us, how did you discover the X-Files? What was the first episode you watched?
Well, I think I talked about this actually a little bit before, but the first episode that I watched was the pilot, but I watched it in 2015 when it was on Netflix. So yeah, I discovered it because I watched The Fall on Netflix, and underneath, Netflix at some point started suggesting things for me to watch, and The X-Files was the thing that it suggested that I watch after I watched The Fall. So that is how
So thanks, Netflix recommendations.
So true. So
and
true.
A true fan
I do
was
remember.
born.
I do remember the X-Files being on television. We didn't really watch TV when I was growing up. And I was the oldest child in my house, and I was, 6 years old when it started airing. So the TV that we did watch skewed much younger than the X-Files. But I think my first memory of the X-Files is actually the Emmys when they won. I remember them playing the X-Files theme over and over again at the Emmys. That's what I remember first.
That's amazing.
But that was, I was a little kid.
That is so cool.
watching.
Yeah.
But no, the first episode I watched was the pilot in 2015.
So you just started from the beginning and went straight through.
I did.
That's amazing. You're so lucky to have experienced it without commercials and without summer breaks.
Yeah, I think
you
that's
didn't have to
true.
wait. You didn't have to wait to find out about Gethsemane and Fight the Future and all of that. You could just watch it. Did you watch the movies in order, or did you save those till after?
Nope, I watched them in order. I watched them all in order. I took a long break between season 8 and season 9 the first time that I watched it. A long break. By a long break, I mean a few weeks. A few weeks. Just because I knew that it was going to be different, and I was like, I need a little distance. But other than that, I binge watched it. I literally binge watched it, most of it over a Christmas holiday.
So you just loved it from the beginning.
We got a lot of snow that year.
That's amazing.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair.
I would not go that far. I think I started loving it when I got to Beyond the Sea. But
yeah. Yeah. So, okay, that being said, what was your favorite season? Do you have a favorite season?
I do. I do have a favorite season, and it's this one, season 6.
Season 6. Yep.
Season 6 is my favorite season.
Yep. Awesome. And
so many reasons.
So many. I would agree with you. I think on my 5 questions, I might have said season 3 or 4, but definitely season 6 has, the most rewatchable episodes, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
They stand alone very well.
So what is your favorite episode then?
Well, yeah, I don't know. No, that's not true. I do know. I tend to answer when I get this question, because I'm a person for whom this changes all the time, my favorite episode. I tend to answer the Postmodern Prometheus is my favorite episode. And I know that there are so many problems with the Postmodern Prometheus, but I still think I would name it as my favorite because of the things that I find really redeeming about it. It's really beautiful to watch. It's really intricate. I think Mulder and Scully are really good. And it contains the answer to one of the other questions of X. So
let me guess. Can I guess? What is your favorite moment of the X-Files?
The last 2 minutes of the Postmodern Prometheus are hands down my favorite moment in the X-Files. So, I mean, I love a lot of other episodes too, but the last 2 minutes and walking in Memphis and the dancing and fading into the comic book are my favorite moment.
Yeah,
I think.
It's hard to beat that one.
It's tough.
So hard
really
to beat.
Tough to outshine
such
it.
a good moment. Oh my gosh, yeah. That's a really good choice. All right, so
yeah, I think that's what pushes the Postmodern Prometheus over the edge.
It really
for me.
does.
And I know that it's deeply flawed.
Yeah,
but
well, that's the thing about favorite episodes is like they're your favorite, even though they don't have to be the best one. They don't have to be the one that's perfect or unflawed or whatever. Like, no episode of the X-Files is perfect.
No, true.
Let's be real about that. There's definitely issues here and there with all of them. So it's your favorite because you just love it. You love watching it. It makes you happy. It's like your comfort food. It's like mashed potatoes and gravy, Like,
and walking in Memphis is definitely a mashed potatoes and gravy kind of
right?
moment.
It's that warm blanket you take out of the dryer and snuggle up in.
So
just
good.
Feels good and makes you happy. So yeah, that's fair. And then finally, who is your favorite character on the X-Files?
Well, this should surprise no one. It's Dana Scully. Dana Scully is my favorite character. I mean, it is hard for me to understand how Dana Scully is not everyone's favorite character. I know that she's not, and it's totally fine and valid. But I think that this show gets sold often as a story about Mulder and Scully, or even a story about Mulder, and it's not. It's a story about Scully.
Yeah.
So I've always felt it like it was really centered on Scully, and I mean for me anyway. And she is my favorite, definitely.
Good choice. Yeah.
Thanks. Like it was a difficult one.
I mean, really, like it's hard to argue against Scully because she's just so amazing and strong and smart and sexy. She's everything. Scully is everything.
And appropriately like complicated.
Yes.
And I really appreciate that about her.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that we get to see Dana Scully as like a really smart and focused like career person who then also eventually is also a really smart and focused family person.
Right.
Like she is both of those things at various points in the show.
Mm-hmm.
At all points, kind of, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I like that we get the gamut with her.
We could totally talk about Scully all day.
We could.
Yeah.
We shouldn't.
It's easy. It's easy to talk about Scully, but we're here to talk about the ranking, so we'll dig into that. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I mean, okay. I just want to say this ahead of time. Cortlan and I are both hardcore shippers. And I just want to let you know that the ship-tasticness shippy ship is sailing into the harbor. And we're going to park it here. And we're going to ship the heck out of this episode. So be prepared. I'm sorry. Not sorry. I'm not sorry. I don't apologize for my shippiness. I don't think I need to.
I agree. I don't think you need to.
Mm-mm. No, I love Mulder and Scully. Mulder and Scully love each other. And that's the way it is. So, anyways.
Okay.
Just let that cat out of the bag there. All right.
Disclaimer.
Be forewarned. Disclaimer. All right. Ranking. That's the episode we're talking about today. This episode originally aired on January 10th, 1999. Oh my goodness. This is the 8th episode of season 6. It was written by Jeffrey Bell, who also wrote Salvage, Signs and Wonders, The Goldberg Variation, and Alpha. Quite a I don't know the word.
It's an auspicious list.
There you go. Yeah.
Oof.
I do love the Goldberg Variation. I've always felt like they were kind of similar. The Ranking and Goldberg Variation. I like the lightheartedness of it. I don't mind.
The tone, maybe.
The tone.
I don't even really dislike Signs and Wonders, really. It's not one of my favorites, but it's not like Salvage.
Or Alpha.
Or Alpha. Yeah.
His talent clearly lies in the more whimsical aspects. Anyways, directed by Kim Manners. Classic. So this episode is about when Mulder and Scully investigate a man who claims he can control the rain in a small drought-stricken Kansas town. They encounter a force more powerful than the weather when they go to investigate. So, Cortlan.
Sarah.
What would you rate this episode out of 10?
Oh my. Wow, I forgot you were going to ask me that. I think I would probably put it in the 7-ish area. I should say I love this episode, but I can admit that it is maybe not the best X-File, but I do love it despite its 7-ish rating.
I think it's fair to break it up between watchability and... What would you give it on a watchability scale?
Oh, like a 10.
Yeah.
So watch it over and over again.
Yeah. What about a critical scale?
Oh, much, much lower.
Yeah.
Maybe like a
So when we
5.
average this, when we average those two together, we come out with a high 7.
Right.
Close to 8.
I don't know. I think mine would be closer to the 6.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
7.2?
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. I'm going to agree with IMDb rating of 7.6.
Okay.
So, that's what IMDb gave it. Out of, at the time of this recording, 2,644 votes. So not the highest rated, but still not bad, considering.
Right.
Watchability scale, we agree, because I think it's a very highly watchable episode. I watched this. This is one of the very few episodes that I can watch with my kids. I think it's the only episode that I can watch all the way through with my kids.
Yeah, well, I think this is the kind of episode that just doesn't require that much from you as you're watching. You can just enjoy it without feeling too invested, I guess. Is how
you don't have to focus so hard on the plot or anything like that. It's
right.
You just get to watch and enjoy. Sit back, relax.
It's all a little bit goofy.
Yeah.
So, very rewatchable.
Soak it all up. So, Cortlan, let's dig in and talk about the episode.
Okay.
Shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. For our teaser, we've got Victoria Jackson, who is actually rather renowned, and she's got a boyfriend who's not so nice.
Actually, look, I think it's the second thing that I wrote down as I was rewatching for this is I'm pretty sure Daryl Moots is a contender for worst person on this show. And there are a lot of bad people in the X-Files, but Daryl is one of them.
How would we rank him? Would we rank him? I mean, he hasn't murdered anybody. So I would say, like he'd be below Toombs, below Donnie Pfaster, because, like, no murder. But just, like, as a human being, I think we'd, like, equate him probably around Gisette.
Maybe.
With the brothers.
He's maybe worse than them. He might be even worse than them. I don't know. You know.
He's just mean.
He's just not good. He's not a good guy at all.
I mean, he calls her fat. And, like...
Yeah, just, ew, right away.
Rude. And he wants to keep their engagement secret.
Yeah, that's
from everybody.
Major red flag.
Oh my gosh. Poor Sheila. She just did not pick the best guy. And then we'll get into it later, but her first husband left her for the phone girl.
Yeah.
The phone company girl.
Sheila, you know, she's also maybe not one of my favorite characters that we come across, but she does have this, like, powerful optimism that I'm not sure if I were her I could muster.
I know.
She's had a lot of things happen that should really be, like, spirit crushing in some ways.
Right?
But no. She's cool. She's going with it.
Well, she's got Holman as a best friend.
That's
so,
true.
I mean,
True.
he's there to, like, keep her optimistic, I guess. But she just doesn't realize it.
I'm sensing a parallel. Okay.
Yeah. And we've got the Carpenters. I just have to say, my mom loved the Carpenters, and when I like little tiny 4-year-old Sarah playing the Carpenters records that we had. I love the Carpenters. That voice, Karen Carpenter, man, can't beat it. Just unique.
I think that's another thing that works so well in this episode's favor is the soundtrack. I mean, I think we're really used to having a great score, and I think we still do. But with this episode, we also have a great soundtrack. And that's a little unique, or, you know, more unique than we would think, I guess.
Yeah, I like it because it goes with the theme of the 70s, like the late 70s, because they're there for their 20-year high school reunion. So they graduated in 1979, which is also, like, I had to take a deep breath when I realized that this episode is, 20 years old, and I was supposed to have my 20-year high school reunion this year.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my. This was your Rain King year. This
is my Rain King year. Like, it's like, I can't, like, oh man. So yeah, giant heart-shaped hail. Daryl gets in his car and drives away and gets in a wreck. And we see the giant heart-shaped hail, which I was watching. My 5-year-old was in the room. We were watching this, and she came in, and she goes, "Oh, it's heart-shaped. Look at the eyes. It's heart-shaped. That's so cute." That's what she said.
Well, like, she's not wrong. I think the heart-shaped hail is such an interesting thing. Like, Holman later is going to say that he can't explain the logic of why or, like, any of these things happen. And, like, this is a particularly inexplicable one for me. How does he even know? Did Sheila call him and be like, Daryl left?
They're best friends, so maybe she was his first call.
Yeah.
I mean, he was her first call.
I think we have to guess that that's what I mean, how else would Holman know that Daryl needs to get hit with some heart-shaped hail? Like, I don't know. So.
Yeah. But it started raining right when he left. So there's no way. But maybe Holman is just so in tune with Sheila, and he loves her so much he can just feel her feelings from across town.
We could also, too, I guess it is Valentine's Day, so maybe he was just pining. That landed on Daryl.
There were a lot of coincidences in this episode, so I wouldn't put it past
I'm going to read into a lot of them. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm going to overthink all of the coincidences. So
yes.
Prepare yourself now.
So I would say this is probably not the most frightening teaser that we've ever had on the X-Files. Heart-shaped hail is hard to I wouldn't have nightmares over this. Yeah.
I like to compare it to sort of the other weather-based X-File, DPO. I like to think about this as comparison to DPO because he is genuinely scary.
Yeah.
And this is not at all.
No, this is not frogs raining from the sky either.
Also true.
Yeah. I wonder if Cathy has a spreadsheet line for weather-related phenomenon in the X-Files. We should ask her about that. Okay, so we got our first scene. Tiny plane lands in Kansas. I've been on a plane not this small. Not like a literal 3-seater, but a small one, and they are terrifying. So this must be out in the middle of nowhere to have a plane this small. Like, why didn't Mulder and Scully drive so far all the time? Wonder why they didn't drive.
I don't know. I do think if you buy into the, sort of canon that Scully doesn't like flying, she must have been really grumpy already, just right away, leading into this day that they're about to have, but not fun.
I don't blame her for being grumpy in this. She's very grumpy in this episode.
She really is. In like a delightful way.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like coming into this episode, somewhere between terms of endearment and ranking, Mulder and Scully must have gotten in a fight. I feel like we arrive in the middle of like a larger scale argument between them. She's holding a grudge about something.
Well, we haven't talked about this, but the timeline here is, in classic X-Files form, absolutely wonky. Because Mulder and Scully are 6 months after Valentine's Day. So this doesn't fall anywhere remotely near any of the things around it. It's in true X-Files fashion, extremely wonky.
Yeah. And then at the very end, it's just all over the place.
Well, yeah, who knows? But
yeah. So 6 months, I can't do maths, Cortlan. 6 months after Valentine's Day is when?
August?
Yeah. So summer. So in the Midwest, isn't that traditionally like a drought time?
I can't speak to Kansas's weather.
That's true. I don't know. Anyways, so the mayor greets them from this town, and he's got Rhonda there, the boombox with the music and the baton.
Mulder is elated. The look on his face, he is absolutely delighted to.
He's loving it.
Watch Scully be in this situation.
Yeah. Excited. Scully is less than thrilled.
Just right away.
So the mayor accuses Daryl Moots of making the drought so that he can make it rain and profiteer off of, which, knowing as we have seen Daryl previously in the teaser, I wouldn't put it past him. That seems like a very reasonable accusation for the person that we're dealing with here. Right.
It's a fair, he is the one benefiting the most in this situation. So that is a logical leap, I think, for the mayor to make. I think there's a really hilarious moment where Scully is very hopeful that maybe they're talking about cloud seeding, that this is not anything related to any. She's like, oh, wait, this is maybe a real. And he's like, no, just right away. Every time Scully says something in this episode, she is immediately refuted. Just immediately, within seconds. There's no hope for her here.
So obviously the first well, we don't know if it was the first person, but obviously the mayor feels like this is enough of an issue to call in the FBI. So unless Mulder called him, I don't know. It's possible.
Also plausible, yeah. But Mulder does have that line where he says something about controlling the weather being a crime or something like that. And is it a crime, though? What crime? How would they charge Daryl Moots for controlling the weather?
Right?
Like, what would they take him to court for? I don't understand exactly what crime they're hoping to put in the books here.
Isn't profiteering a crime?
Profiteering
off of like
some kind of, it has to be something like that.
Natural disaster. Like if the drought is considered a natural disaster and you're profiteering, it's like the same as like people selling water during a hurricane or whatever. Like you can't.
Maybe
that.
Okay, let's go with that.
It has to be close enough. Yeah.
Let's I guess give Mulder the benefit of the doubt that he knows this is an actual crime if they can prove it.
Look at that. Mulder being an actual FBI agent and knowing the law.
Sort of. Yep.
Maybe. Potentially. So, he does mention that for the past 30 years, this town has been experiencing extreme weather. Maybe he's already got an X-Files on this.
Yeah, that's an interesting moment, too, though, given that later he seems to be still researching the extreme weather events of Kroner. But he already knows when they get there. So, but that's okay. Ground zero for extreme weather. That's what he says. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then Scully says, how many scapegoats lease office space? Love it. And did you see that look that she gives him when they walk through the door? I had to rewind that like 3 times. I was like, what is she looking at him like that for? What is going on? Something happened there. Yeah.
She's just tired of doing this, I think.
There's some tension. There's some obvious Mulder and Scully tension. Yeah, in this episode.
Welcome to season 6. I want to talk about Daryl Mootz's rider in his contract. His, like, the things that he requires in order to make it rain for you. In, like, a previous life, one of my jobs was to contract performers to come to, like, a college campus. And so, they send you their rider for the green room. And I saw some weird things. People requested some weird things, like a pack of running socks or like, I don't know, just weird things. But Daryl's is not good. Daryl's rider is terrible. Jelly beans, but pick out all the green ones. Seriously?
I mean, if you don't like the green jelly beans, you can't make it rain.
It interferes with his complex weather pattern.
It's complicated.
It's really complicated.
And beer. You gotta have your beer. I do love Cindy, though. Cindy is smarter than she appears. And smarter than she comes across, I think. Because there's a couple of her lines that she's very shrewd. And she's here to look out for Daryl and believe in... She totally believes in him. Because he saved her daddy's farm.
And she is way too good for Daryl.
Oh, yeah.
That girl.
Way too good for him.
I really like the line where she asks if they need a warrant or a subpoena to get the client list.
I love how she delivers that. She's like, don't you need a subpoena or a warrant? And she's like, she's on it. She knows. But
she is not she's not interested in just letting them walk all over her. So
I love Scully's face through this whole episode. Just her eye rolls and her shade are priceless. She just is really not having it in this episode.
I think she's really, like, this is, in Bad Blood, we talk about how this is sort of like an exaggeration of Scully, like Scully times 10. This is the Scully that they times 10 to get to Bad Blood, I think. If we dial Bad Blood back to the real world, absolutely fed up Dana Scully. It's right here in The Rain King.
We found it. Yep.
Here it is.
Yeah, this is what Mulder is talking about. And he's overly optimistic, too, in this.
He really is.
Yeah.
So overjoyed and enthusiastic about everything they're doing.
You nailed it. That's exactly what this is. Yep. And they go to the TV station and show up, and Sheila's like, oh, you're the Gundersons! With that accent. You're the Gundersons! Welcome!
I love the, it's almost it's an in-joke kind of, where they're like, is this your first time in a TV studio? No. Also the idea that maybe Mulder and Scully have won a romantic getaway. Please give them a romantic getaway, Sheila. Just give it to them. I don't know who the Gundersons are.
That's a fanfic right there.
I'm sure that the Gundersons are very deserving, but also we need Mulder and Scully to have a romantic getaway.
We do. And the Gundersons show up, and then Mulder, he's just taking so much delight in this whole situation.
He really is.
And it's just really digging into Scully's craw. And he just looks at her and he's like, it's like looking in a mirror, isn't it? He's loving it.
Oh, man.
He's super into it. Yeah. And, this episode is just so fun. It's so fun to watch. Just a delight.
It really is.
Yeah. And I don't think that's a bad... I feel like, yeah, X-Files is supposed to be nitty and gritty and dark and moody. But what's wrong with just having a episode that's just so fun to watch?
Well, and I think, too, it's... They're able to do this. They're just as capable of playing sort of fun, quippy as they are dark and gritty, I guess.
I mean, it's also similar to Arcadia a little bit. Like they are in, I love situations where, and this happens a lot in the X-Files, where Mulder and Scully are dropped into a small town that's like a contained environment with its own set of rules, essentially, its own people and its own social construct. And they are like these outsiders who are there to just observe. And like, we're Mulder and Scully observing this outside town and trying to figure things out, just like they are. And this is one of those situations, but it's just nothing scary is happening. It's just weather.
It's scary.
It's not even lightning.
Nope.
It's just weather. So, yeah. I think that's what makes it a little bit different than the rest of, it's not Chaco Chicken and Our Town.
No. But I think I do think, and I noted that several times, that in like different hands or different context, this would be a much scarier episode. Like they could have made it a much scarier episode and chose not to.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's fun. I think it's fun.
Like it feels almost like it could be like, I would like to see what Vince Gilligan would do with this and what Darren Morgan would do with this and the twists that they could put on this to make it just, because I feel like it's along those lines, but not with the scary. I can feel like that Darren Morgan could have probably turned these people into something, I don't know if grotesque is the correct word, but just, like humbug style, even as far as like Quagmire, it's like these people who are just almost caricatures is probably a better word.
I don't know. I think that would be one of the critiques that I would give about, like, that I find a little irritating about this episode, is that I think every character that we see from Kroner, who is not Sheila or Daryl or Holman, are all the same. They're, it makes them seem oversimplified. And I think that the X-Files is a little guilty of oversimplification of, like, average people.
Right. So
exactly. They're, I think that could have done with a little more interest. But
yes. Yeah. They sort of overgeneralize.
They really do.
Yeah.
Small town Kansas.
Agree. Yeah. Because we know people from Kansas.
We do.
They're not like that.
No.
Okay. So I love that they talk with Holman. They interview Holman, and he says, he defends Kroner. He says, this is where the weather happens. This is like the coolest stuff happens here. How do you say it? Meteorologically? It's a big word.
I wrote it down because he says that it is sophisticated, complex, and sexy. And I thought to myself, they picked those words on purpose because I think that a lot of, especially like fanfic writers or shipping people would say they are in fact sophisticated, complex, and sexy while they sit very close together on that couch.
Yes, Mulder and Scully definitely. But also, he sees the weather. The weather is a manifestation of his feelings. So that's how he sees Sheila, is sophisticated, complicated, and sexy. So, I think it definitely works for both.
It really does, I think.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
Yeah. And how do you, he says it's a more clouded issue.
Nailed it.
And so how do we feel about Holman as a character? I like him. I think he's probably the strongest character in this episode, other than, Mulder and Scully.
Oh, I think definitely, hands down. I think that he's much more likable than any of the other characters that we meet, and more complex than any of the characters that we meet. I think there's a lot more to Holman. I think a lot more effort was put into Holman's perspective than really anybody else.
Yeah.
Here.
Do you think, because he says that he stayed in this town for Sheila, do you think, bless his heart, he would have done much better and had a much happier life had he gone out into the world and explored a wider horizon?
Well, I mean, maybe. Who's to say? He could do, I guess, he is a very talented weatherman, I suppose. I don't know. No, I do feel bad for him, though, sometimes, because I think, that sucks. He's been there for, forever, since they were kids. Just trying really hard and not really getting noticed, even though he's literally making weather, and still no one noticed.
Well, it's interesting because, he stayed because he loves Sheila. So that's the reason he was there. But he also says, Kroner has the best weather and he's a meteorologist, but he doesn't realize that he's the one who is making the weather. If he had gone somewhere else, that's where the weather would be. So
does he not realize it, though? I think he knows. I mean, he knows that he's making the weather. I mean, maybe he didn't when he was a kid, but I think he knows, at this point, that he's the person making the weather.
Yeah. I wonder if he... Well, yeah, because he does think that it's his fault.
Yeah.
That Daryl had a wreck. And then when he realizes that he was drunk and it wasn't his fault. Yeah. But I kind of, at that point, I thought, I always think that maybe he thinks that it was Sheila making the weather.
I have never, ever thought of it that way.
No.
At all. I have always felt like by the time Mulder and Scully get there, Holman is a grown man, well aware of the fact that he is impacting the weather and just doesn't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you do about it? I don't know.
It does. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And we are at the rain party.
Ooh, except we missed one of my favorite Scully lines.
Oh, tell me.
In which she's once again immediately refuted, but Holman says something about how no one can control the weather or something. And Scully says, "Thank you. Can we go now?" Can we go now? And then immediately, in the next exchange, Holman's like, Daryl seems to be controlling the weather.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, no.
Why'd you have to
Can
say
we
that?
go now?
Can we go now?
I mean, she was ready. She turns and looks at Mulder. Thank you. Can we go now? Nope. Sorry.
Not yet.
Not even close.
Sorry, Scully.
Anyway.
Yeah. So they go over to the rain party, and it's like a whole shindig set up with these townsfolk who have been so blighted and downtrodden from this drought. Do you think, I feel like these are the people, like, I feel like they've pooled all the money they had left together to, like, make it rain.
It really feels like that to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're so excited and, like, it's, like, sad. It's sad, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's meant to be funny, like, but I don't think that it's funny at all. Like,
No.
It's clearly so
Their
important.
last hope. Like, this is their last chance to save the farm.
And it's Daryl.
And it's Daryl Moots.
Oh.
Mm. So, and, you know, Scully comments that these people are desperate enough to believe anything. Like, they want to believe in Daryl, of all people. Ugh.
So disappointing.
Just
I really think at some point in this, I can't remember exactly, it's after Daryl starts dancing. Even Mulder is like, I don't know about this. Like, even Mulder is like, wait, this can't be real.
I love when Mulder is talking to Daryl and he goes, how do you explain your gift? And Daryl's like, I can't. It's complicated. And Mulder goes, well, try me. I watched the Weather Channel.
Yeah, I watched the Weather Channel. Well, that reminds me so much of, you know, every time we see Mulder interacting with, like, grumpy teenagers, where he's kind of got that, like, sarcasm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I watched the Weather Channel. It reminds me exactly of that moment. I think it's in Schizogyny, where he's like, he holds up the evidence bag and he's like, evidence.
Yes.
It's the same attitude that Mulder uses to deal with the, like,
early teenagers.
Yeah, the teenagers. He's now he's adapted it for Daryl Moots. It feels right. It
does. Yeah, he's totally there. And then like the cherry on the top is Daryl's like, well, I'm 164th Cherokee.
Oh,
like, no. And Scully, this whole and exchange is just my favorite in the whole episode. Scully's like, she's definitely not here for it. She's like, my Irish Aunt Olive has more Cherokee in her than Daryl Moots.
Yeah. And whatever, like, the weird, like, dance that he's, like, doing, like, he's moving around. And all of the people are they're ready. They believe that this is going to work. Presumably they've seen it work before or heard that it has worked before.
They believe.
Boy, do they.
But it works.
And it does.
Oh,
the look, even Mulder's face, like when they're just standing there in the rain, that it's priceless.
Yeah. I love that it's like a flashback to the pilot.
Yeah.
Every time I see that, I think of Mulder and Scully standing in the rain together, just astonished and just, you know, here the mood is different. They're, you know, astonished in a different way, but
sure.
It's not the first time they've stood in the pouring rain together. Shippy moment. I have a heart in my notes by that. Yeah. I have lots of hearts in my notes this time. I never do that.
On theme for this.
Yeah, I felt like it was definitely on point there. So it works, and yeah, Holman and Sheila are talking about the 20-year high school reunion. Just stab me in the heart. And poor Holman. He's a smitten kitten.
Poor Holman.
He's just...
And Sheila, just not...
So clueless.
Yeah. Yeah. Really annoyingly clueless, I think, at this point.
Yeah. She should have figured it out, I think. But yeah, she's been focused on other people, so I guess... I mean, she just sees Daryl as a friend. He's never, like, made a move or let her know how he feels. So, of course she doesn't know. She thinks they're just best friends.
Oh, yeah. That sounds so familiar.
Interesting. Yeah, the parallels are just phenomenal in this episode.
Wow.
So clear.
A couple of best friends / coworkers who are in their mid to late 30s. What?
Interesting.
I've never heard of anything like this before.
Cut to Coolview Motor Court.
Coolview Motor Court, the scene of many a fanfic.
The wind is keeping Scully awake. She can't sleep. Mulder's awake at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's not the first time they're awake at 3 o'clock in the morning together at a motor court.
I love the restless. Like, Scully is so restless. I love that this happens to Scully because she doesn't believe that any of this is real, but she also can't sleep because she's got to figure it out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that it kind of like these things like get into Scully's brain and like she's awake at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking about the weather.
Or she could just be, you know, thirsty for Mulder.
Sure. There's also that. Could go either
Both.
way.
I think it's both. Could be both.
Also, though, Mulder is like spitting his sunflower seeds like into the bed. I mean, I really hope
those sunflower seeds.
I really hope there's like a dish or like at least like a towel or something that he just like leans over and spits that seed out, and I'm like, dude.
Well, he throws them on the floor of the FBI building, so I mean.
Okay, but you're right. Unacceptable, but better than into the bed.
I mean, maybe he's just gonna go sleep in the other bed. Maybe that's his sunflower seed bed, and then he's gonna sleep on the other twin beds. Well, there's a slob.
Oh.
This isn't new.
No.
But that poor cow gets me every time. The sound it makes.
Yeah. And this is after Twister, right? Twister is already so this is like a flying cow tornado situation.
Throwback to Twister. Yeah. We've got cows.
Exactly.
Yeah. I do appreciate one thing that I liked about the scene was that it's not overly coincidental or convenient that Mulder gets up to close the window and just narrowly misses being crushed by the cow. Like, it seems like they worked it in so that it makes sense. You know, it's not like he had a strange feeling or seemed, you know, he just got up to close the window and he sees this cow get
he gets up to stop it, like, banging, right? Because he doesn't know, but it's keeping Scully awake.
Yeah.
And he gets up to close it. And the cow. But the fact that Holman has attacked Mulder with a flying cow is pretty good. I think it's pretty good.
Do you think that he intended the cow to do that? Or was he just feeling the wind, the restlessness of the wind, where was expressing his feelings?
Well, I think that we have that in that scene right beforehand. You know, Sheila is saying that she wishes that they would just leave because the FBI is here and it's making Sheila feel uncomfortable. Because I think that Sheila at this point also believes that she is responsible for the weather. Even though it's not about her. But I mean, it's sort of about her, but it's not her. So I think that Holman is just trying, like, has directed his weather weirdness in a way that is meant to make them leave, right? I mean, if a flying cow fell through your hotel room, you'd probably leave. I don't know.
He doesn't know Mulder very well, does he?
No.
Clearly not. No.
Obviously not, no.
Those flying cows are not going to stop Mulder from finding the truth.
Certainly not.
No.
But
yeah.
And I mean, again, Holman I don't think that he can think in his mind, let's have a tornado pick up a cow and drop it on Mulder. Like, that's not. He just thinks. The
cows were there.
He just knows Sheila is upset, and I don't want Sheila to be upset, so the FBI needs to leave.
Yeah. Exactly. So then the weather takes over, and it's like, all right, let's do this thing.
I mean, a tornado, though, is maybe one of the things that is maybe where they miss the opportunity to make the weather more threatening. Because it's Kansas.
I mean, it could have been a little, just the cow. Just how it's like, just the way it moves.
Oh, poor cow.
Poor Poor cow. Like, I really do feel bad for the cow. Like, I love how the whole time, even, like, through the whole rest of the episode, they're like, oh, that poor cow.
That poor cow.
It was not the cow's fault.
It really wasn't. That cow is the definition of an innocent bystander.
It really
It was
is.
just living its life.
It was just hanging out in the fields.
It was not entangled in any of the love triangles. It didn't care even about them.
No. It was not just, it was just living its little cow life. Bless. Okay. So, the next day, and then they take the chainsaw, and it's just the worst.
Oof.
Just the worst.
Not
Unless
great.
you want to be covered in hamburger. Oh,
Ew.
God. Just to, like, really make it bad.
Terrible.
Oh, gosh. And I love the woman comes out in her rollers, and she's like, I moved your stuff into your boyfriend's room. And Scully's like, nope, just not.
But my favorite part about that, though, is that Dana Scully says out loud to the hotel person that they prefer separate rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they need separate rooms. They prefer them. And I was like, okay. So that's another line that I feel like has spawned so much speculation about the rooms.
Yeah.
I think it's plausible that Dana Scully doesn't want a bed with sunflower seeds in it. Sunflower seeds in the bed seems like the kind of thing that would annoy Scully a lot.
Yeah. That could definitely, and I think you've hit the nail on the head with that one. I love how Holman comes up to Mulder. He's like, I just feel terrible about this. And Mulder gives him that look, and that's when Mulder knows.
But yeah.
He's like, that's when it clicks.
Something's going on.
Yeah. He has a very specific look at. And I love how Scully runs her hands through Mulder's hair. Like, she's so comfortable. That is not clinical.
Trauma.
That is not clinical detachment. She's way too familiar with running her hands through Mulder's hair.
The head trauma check, the completely and totally unnecessary check for head trauma. Because the flying cow didn't come
super casual
anywhere.
About it.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
It's really, I think we should point out that the entire finding Sheila and Holman at that TV station is another one of Mulder's total, like, out of nowhere leaps. Where he, it's like, let's go check the TV station to talk to the weatherman. And it just so happens that it's actually the weatherman.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that this is when he starts to realize, like, okay, well, we're on the right track here.
Mm-hmm. I got this sorted. Yeah. So, and then Sheila surprises them by saying that she thinks she's the one who's controlling the weather. And I love, like, Mulder and Scully's faces in this whole interaction are just the best. Oh my gosh. Mulder is just, I guess, does he think, like, she's just like, oh, that's so cute? Like, he just wants to pat her on the head and be like, oh, that's so cute. You're adorable. That's not what this is.
I think so. Scully with those tissues, though, and she's, like, leaning over. She's holding those tissues out. She's really confused about what is happening and why Sheila believes that she's controlling the weather.
She's nicely sympathetic about
she
it, I
is.
think.
She's trying really hard.
Yeah. She's like,
to be
she
comforting.
feels like there's genuine emotion here that this woman is going through, and she's very upset, and Scully's there to hand her the tissues. So, and not in, like, a condescending way, not just like, oh my God. It's like, she's like, she wants her to feel better. So I appreciate that girl moment. We get so few of them in the X-Files.
So true. So true.
Yeah. And then Scully's face when Sheila kisses Mulder's hand.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
It's amazing. I love that moment.
Yes. We're all done with the sympathy. No more of that.
It's really, I mean, you almost don't even see what Sheila is doing. Like, it happens really subtly, I felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because you're mostly just watching Scully's face. And it's very much, I mean, we get that scene much, much later in I Want to Believe, where Dakota Whitney, like, gets the like tissue off of Mulder's face, and Dana Scully is watching like WTF, and this is like a precursor, I think, to that moment. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, she's like, hold on, mine, not yours.
Well, it's
mine.
just also it's such a weird thing to do,
right?
It's a weird thing to do.
Yeah, like who's gonna kiss the hand like that? And then, but does Holman do that to Sheila later, or somebody? I feel like there's there's more than one hand kissing in this episode, but I wasn't paying attention. Maybe not.
I do, but this is where we learn all about all of the past, like, situations that Sheila has been in, where she has just, I mean, had her heart broken many times. And I don't think that I don't think that they play up the need for us to feel sympathy for her, but like, boy,
she's been through a lot.
Yeah. Like, I think it's much easier to be annoyed by Sheila because she's kind of like weepy and like, but also, man,
she's been through the ringer.
She really has.
And then she walks out and touches Holman's shoulder, and he like holds his hand where hers just left, and you see that look on his face, and it's just like, oh, my heart. Oh, poor Holman. He just loves her so much.
He really does.
And I think Mulder notices that, right?
Yeah.
I think he does.
It surprises me not at all that Mulder can recognize Holman's like unrequited love.
He's finally putting his psychology degree to use.
Yeah. That
hard-earned Oxford degree in psychology.
Well, this is the X-Files. We're never going to talk about that degree ever again.
I mean, So, and then this is when he finds out that Daryl was drunk the night he wrecked. And they decided it was punishment enough to lose a leg, so he didn't get a DUI or anything.
Yeah. I mean, because this whole town is now complicit. Like, apparently everyone knew. And that's not a very flattering picture of Kroner, Kansas. So
So I guess I wonder if they let Daryl get away with so much because he did lose his leg.
I don't know. But again, Daryl is not a sympathetic character either. Like,
no.
Nor should he be. I don't know. If there's a bad guy in this episode, it's clearly Daryl.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to the conversation on the rock where Mulder's like, well, if I had a peg leg,
I would
be more likely to.
True. Yeah. Well, because in the 6 months since Valentine's Day and whenever Mulder and Scully arrive, Daryl has discovered that the rain follows him and monetized it to take advantage of other people. Like, Daryl is the kind of person who sells his superpower instead of using it for good. I mean, it's not his superpower, but he doesn't know that at this point.
Right. Yeah, he's just going to take advantage wherever he can.
Yeah.
Yep. Except the rain stops.
Oops.
Whoops. And then we go back to the motor court, where Mulder and Holman are talking, and he's suggesting that Holman's the one controlling the weather, using a little bit more of his psychology superpowers.
And an old newspaper. Where did he even get that?
Yep.
Does Kroner have a library that he went to?
Apparently. It wouldn't be the first time he's looked up microfiche and all that to research.
True. He's holding the physical newspaper, though. He's holding the physical newspaper, though, in their hotel room.
Well, he ripped out that page from that one library book. Was it from the Library of Congress or something?
Yeah, in the Unnatural, he ripped it out. Yeah. Okay.
So we wouldn't be surprised if he just takes the newspaper. Maybe
Or we learned that Holman has made it rain rose petals when his mom died.
Yeah. Sweet Holman. He's so sweet. He's a sweet boy. And so then we cut to Holman practicing his speech to Sheila in the mirror.
Oh,
How many times has he practiced that speech over the years, I wonder?
Many, many times.
Mm-hmm. And then she calls him, and she's completely clueless, and we hurt for Holman again.
Oh, I love when Sheila says, "What do you think of Agent Mulder?" because I know what we think of Agent Mulder,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it must be what Sheila also thinks.
Yeah. I like this episode because it's very on the nose.
Yeah.
I think.
It is not subtle.
Mm-mm. No, this
at
is
all.
very clearly, you know, we've picked up on the shippers,
Yes.
and we are acknowledging that this is a thing.
And also kind of making fun of you a little bit.
A little bit. And
like
also, you know, refuting everything. They just want to make it really clear that Mulder and Scully are not together. But we know the truth.
Every time they do that, it doesn't work for me. I feel like it backfires. You know? Like, I think that's another, like, that's a thing that Bad Blood is supposed to illustrate, that they cannot connect that way. It doesn't work, though.
No.
It totally backfires.
Yeah. It just makes me think, like, the only reason that they're answering any of, like, you know, Scully's like, nope. She's only saying that because she's like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you about my love life. Like, I don't owe you this.
Well, and we get to watch the way that, like, Mulder and Scully are working together, but we get to watch, like, Scully trying to reason through a lot in this episode, even though, and being shot down, like, over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But she keeps doing it. She keeps at it the same way that Sheila keeps, you know, at her love life.
Yep. And then Scully, it is totally a metaphor. Like, this whole scene is like, yeah, Mulder's talking about, you know, all this stuff, but he's really just talking about himself.
It feels like
Scully.
that, for sure.
Yeah. The blind leading the blind.
I mean,
Scully and Mulder.
Yeah, Mulder even says, like, when he's confronting Holman, he's like, "You've always loved her." And I was like, ooh, yeah.
Yep.
Harsh.
Yep. It hurts. Yeah.
I mean, because again, there's, you know, Sheila and Holman are best friends who've been working together for a long time.
And Mulder's saying, like, you can't bottle up your emotions. You got to tell her how you feel. Except this is post-Fight the Future, and he's already told Scully.
That's true. This is post-Fight the Future and post-Triangle, right? Triangle has also already happened. We haven't gotten yet to, like, the Unnatural, though. Or
True.
even, you know, some of the later, or, like, Biogenesis.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not, you know, we're clearly moving in this direction, though.
Oh, yeah. It's happening. Yep.
Jump back to this Mulder and Holman conversation, because
Yes.
Mulder suddenly, very suddenly, becomes incredibly insensitive, where he's like, I'm leaving, and this is your problem, don't kill anyone. Like,
Yeah.
Mulder has been, like, in this, the whole, like, really in it the whole time, until now he's figured it out. He knows that it's Holman, and he's like, well, I'm out, and don't kill anybody.
He's like, this is getting too close to home.
Yeah, he's, like, thrown up
I'm
all the
uncomfortable
walls.
now with this situation.
He's decided there's nothing he can do. There's no crime. There's no responsibility for him all of a sudden. And don't kill anybody. That's his advice.
Just don't. Oh, like he can control it.
Yeah, come on, Mulder.
Also,
Also, Scully ribs Mulder. Like, she's like, when is the last time you went on a date? But, like, when's the last time Scully went on a date?
I mean, yeah. Well, I think she knows, because it's not like they would ever go on a date together.
Right.
You know. So maybe she's fishing a little bit. Maybe she's definitely saying, like, I know you spend all your time with me. I know you're not dating anybody.
Right. Right.
So, you know.
And it is, I mean, you know, Mulder, the king of his bottled up emotions, is trying to help Holman unbottle them. Blind leading the blind.
Mm-hmm. So then Daryl breaks up with Cindy. And I love, did you see the Apple computer in the back?
Mm-hmm.
I had one of those. Same color.
Wow.
Yeah. I had one, and I got it because I had to get blue because it was the same color as I got mine in 2001. I was like, yeah, it has to be blue because that's the color that was on the X-Files.
Product placement worked for you.
It did. It totally did. Yep. And so Daryl and Cindy, well, Daryl breaks up with Cindy.
Oh, he's the worst.
The worst.
He's the worst.
Just terrible. And then, I love in the next scene where Holman says Scully is a beautiful and enchanting woman. He's like, are you serious? Like, you've never.
Yeah, and Holman
just...
even says, like, he said, I forget exactly what he said, but I should have written it down. Something about, like, given your bearing. I've always been jealous of men like you. Like, that's very, very forthright thing to say. But I think also it is so on the nose though, because you're like, but listen, and because they do it again in How the Ghost Stole Christmas. Like, this is exactly what they do, where they're like, you're so hot. Why are you not together yet? Like,
yes. And like, even as early as Humbug, because he's like, when they're looking at Mulder and they're just like, what a specimen of a human being.
Yes.
He is a mighty fine specimen of a human being.
It's hilarious.
But yeah. And Mulder does not refute anything at that point. I mean, he does a second later.
That long pause, though. He pauses for so long.
He knows.
He's like, this is about you.
Yeah. Let's not focus on me and Scully.
Oh. Brilliant.
He does say friendship. He says that their friendship, my friendship with Agent Scully.
He says he's perfectly happy.
Mm-hmm. Sure, Mulder.
Right.
I don't believe you. Mm-mm. And then he does not gaze at Scully. It's just... No. You do.
I mean, that's just a terrible lie.
Yeah.
A terrible lie. It's not even a good lie.
And then we've got Holman and Sheila talking. She's still just being an idiot. Bless her.
Sheila. I mean, this is where for me, Sheila really becomes someone that I have a hard time with, because she's like in love with Agent Mulder. And she has met Mulder like approximately 1-2 times, right? I mean, no, I don't like.
Well, she fell in love with Daryl Moots enough to, like, get engaged to him.
That's true. That's true.
We don't know how long she was with him before.
Anyway, that's one of those things about where I think leaning into the kind of shippiness that's a little too much for me.
Oh, man. So this next scene where Mulder saves her from Daryl, like, why does Daryl just randomly show? Is it because he wants answers about the rain and why there's no rain? Is that why he's at the weather station?
No, I think Daryl is looking for Sheila because he's going to make up with Sheila.
Right.
Because Sheila, I guess, has money. We talk about, they bring it up like twice in the episode that apparently Sheila has money and Daryl now needs it.
Yeah.
So he's going to make up with Sheila.
Right. Yes. So this reminds me of Back to the Future a little bit. You know, how he's like trying to get them together, but then he punches him and she's suddenly in love with, her own son.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Awkward. But I love I love Daryl is like, Sheila does that mooning face where she's like, Mulder is in the hallway. Yeah. And Daryl is like, this is the guy? Daryl is not remotely impressed, even though we've already established that everyone knows that Mulder is hot. Doesn't matter.
No.
Like, Daryl is not impressed. And Mulder just kind of stands like, he's like, what, who, me? Like, I don't he has that, like, look on his face, like, I don't know. It's a really hilarious little moment, I think.
It's the best. It's so funny. And just awkward.
Yes, so awkward.
Yeah, and I love how Daryl shouts when he punches. They like get in that tussle. It's not even a fight. It's just a little bit of a tussle, and Sheila's like, "No, not his face."
I know.
Don't hit his face.
Like Mulder gets punched in the face all the time, though. I mean, she has no way of knowing. She has no way of knowing that. But I mean, seriously, he gets head injuries and like all the time. He's fine. He's gonna be fine, Sheila. You need to calm down.
And then Scully's face when she walks around that corner is just my favorite.
I mean, wow,
it's amazing. So good. So yeah, they get sorted out, and we cut to this high school reunion that has been worked up for the whole episode. Everybody's in town for the high school reunion. You know, Sheila and Holman are going to the high school reunion together as friends.
Sure.
And I feel like when Sheila comes, they're talking to Holman, and Sheila comes in, and Scully is trying so hard not to punch her in the face.
I really love when actually, we need to go back just 1 second. Sorry. We need to go back to the weather station for a second, because Mulder says, "What do you know about weather radar? What does red mean?" And I just, come on, guys. Sorry, I just saw that in my notes. Back at the weather station.
Thunderstorms?
Just real quick. Yeah. Because Scully says thunderstorms, I think. Or you think? You think it means Mulder just got done saying he watches the
It's
Weather
only
Channel.
in the shape of a tornado, like a big, flowery, giant tornado.
You think it's bad, probably. Anyway, sorry.
But Mulder watches the Weather Channel. He should know.
I mean, he just said it. He just got done saying that he watches the Weather Channel. They don't know what red means on the radar, though.
I think it's another one of those Mulder moments where he's like saying, you know, like he knows and she knows he knows, but it's like he does lines like that all the time,
right? Where this is like a let's talk about this instead of
yeah, exactly. Like
sure.
Oh,
but then Mulder in that hallway, as they get to the reunion, says to Scully, like, if she's here, he'll be here. Ugh, crushing. That's like he knows. Mulder knows exactly how this works. Like, if Sheila's here, Holman will be here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then, did you notice when everybody's dancing and like they're talking, and then it cuts to Mulder and Scully kind of in the background, and they're swaying together?
Oh, it is one of my favorite. That is one of my favorite moments.
It's amazing.
I think it is deeply underrated. Like, it's kind of a shipping moment, but it's just like a deeply underrated little, like, they're just like rocking back and forth. It's
I know, right?
So perfect.
Like, where are all the gifs of that? I need that gif. I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Like, I just think, and I can just hear the song in my head. We're like, ooh, you make me love you. And they're like swaying. Oh, I love it. It's perfect.
It's the best.
It's very perfect.
Yeah. And
like, they're being so casual about it.
It's like they don't even really know that they're doing it, but then they're just they're so in sync.
They're like trying, maybe they're like trying to blend in on the dance floor. I don't know. It's not working. Like that.
They're so perfectly awkward together. They're just
it's magical.
MFEO. It is. It really is. And it starts to rain, right? Because they were talking and
thunderstorms.
Thunderstorms happen, and Mulder says, "I'll build the ark and you go get the animals." And Scully's just like, "Oh my god."
No. Scully has moved beyond, I don't want to do this anymore, to no nonsense. We're fixing this now. She's done.
Yeah.
She's ready to.
She's so over it.
She's like, we're closing this case right now. She's going to fix it.
Right.
She's like,
says they never solved any X-Files, please. not true. So Scully goes to have a come to Jesus moment with Sheila.
She does.
Yeah. And she's just like, listen here, lady. Not really, but,
But I think that is the attitude that she brings as she's leaving. That's definitely the attitude that she's bringing into that high school bathroom. Is listen here, lady.
And of course it's like a high school bathroom because this is such a high school situation.
Yes.
To find themselves in. Like, this is not even hardly high school. It's mostly middle school, really.
No, this is now like a drama over who likes who more and why and who's liking who. And Scully is now confronting the drama in the high school bathroom during a reunion, which is their grown-up version of prom. So I feel like it's an appropriate and really awkward setting.
Exactly. It's perfect. So she lays the theory out for Sheila. She's like, here's the deal. Holman likes you. He likes you. He really likes you.
He checked yes. Check yes or no. Yes. Got it.
Yes. He wanted you to come to this dance, not as friends. She's very confused about this. She's like, but we're friends. She's like, yes, that's the point.
But she seems so... Sheila, I think in this moment, seems so disinterested. Like, she is like fixing her makeup, doesn't even apparently care that Holman really loves her.
I think that makes her slightly dislikable. Like, that's like, if I'm gonna check one mark in the box for like do not like Sheila, that's probably the number one reason. Like,
just a little too callous about this. Especially now that she definitely knows Scully is telling her this is what's happening. And she's like,
yeah. But, I mean, she's been friends with him so long, maybe she just thinks, like, Scully is misinterpreting it.
Could be.
But that would kind of go with the theme, because everybody is misinterpreting Mulder and Scully's friendship. Even though...
Are they?
Okay. We know that, yeah. So yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, and then
I especially love Dana Scully's reaction when Sheila brings the drama back. We're gonna bring it back to the drama. Just like, you love him, don't you? Just, what? She's like, that's what you got out of this.
Yes. She's like, that was not. She's like, oh, I see how it is. You just want him for yourself. And Scully's like, wait a minute.
Scully is clearly baffled. Like, it makes me really wonder, Scully is the grown-up here, obviously, but, what was Scully like in high school? Like, because she seems really uncomfortable and awkward about this whole girl talk in the bathroom situation.
Right?
That's happening.
Well, I think, she had Melissa, so maybe she and Melissa talked girl talk, but she never really had probably any, like, I don't imagine that Scully was the type to have, like, girlfriends.
I mean, she doesn't now either, so.
But also, she was a military kid, so she probably never really...
moved around a lot.
Yeah. Oh, so I do love when Daryl shows up looking for Sheila again. And he's like, Cindy took my leg and said I'll have to crawl back to her. I was like, yes, Cindy.
I mean, good for Cindy.
Yeah.
I wish that Cindy had stuck to that.
That's what I say.
Stick to it.
She did.
Because, gosh.
That was disappointing at the end.
Daryl.
We'll get there. Daryl. Yeah, and then we go back. She was like, not even a kiss. And Scully's just like...
the slow shake of the head where she hesitates just a tiny, tiny bit, and then the slow shake of the head, really a missed opportunity to acknowledge Fight the Future. Like,
right?
We never talk about that again. And we really could have just a little bit.
She's thinking about it, though.
And she's
That's
like,
exactly
no.
Just so close. She's so thirsty. She wants him so bad. She's ready.
I think she's getting ready. I don't know if I would say she's ready.
Yeah, she's getting there. So she gives and she's talking about Mulder here, the
for
best
sure.
relationships are rooted in friendship. Yeah, she's totally, that is very clearly.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like an acknowledgement of the future. Like she knows like this is the path like forward.
Yeah.
Even though they're not. Like, because I mean, I'm a shipper, but I don't think that they're together that way at this point. I think that season 6 is where they decide that or where they realize that they're definitely both in love with each other. And then they kind of have to do the back and forth situations. But I think that this is Scully thinking, yeah, someday.
Mm-hmm. She definitely knows that that's where this is headed. They're on the path towards romance. Then the power goes out.
Because the thunderstorm. Because the thing that is supposed to be the most threatening part.
The scariest part.
The scary part is the sinks overflowing.
Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where, in like any other episode, there would be like a monster coming out of the sink or something, like some tentacles or something gross. But no, it's just backed up sewer water.
Right. Well, I mean, it is gross, but it is not threatening. Like, they don't need to run away from it. But like, even if in this moment there were like tornado sirens and they had to all like hunker down in like a basement hallway of this high school reunion, there could have been a little more.
There's no tension at all.
Yeah, there could have been a little more of that to make the weather seem like an imminent threat. And I don't.
Right.
They never do. They never quite accomplish that.
No. Like, it's not like, Holman, you have to admit your feelings and you guys have to get together or we're all going to die. That's not this.
Right.
It's just, they're not, watching The Shining. And have to go crawl into a hole.
Exactly.
With tires flying and air.
Like farm implements.
Yeah. That's not
There's none of
this
the.
Is not Twister. We do
threat.
have flying cows, but only one. Like, there's only one flying cow, not 3.
And even the flying cow didn't really feel imminently threatening.
No.
Like, there was, there was no sense of danger. I think that's. Yeah, there's just
cow at all.
Oh my! Oh,
I need to know who did the sound effect for that cow.
Look at that.
Like the best acting for a cow.
Oh.
So much surprise and emotion for the cow.
Oh, the poor cow, though. The poor cow.
That poor cow. Oh man. So finally, they realize and Sheila finally realizes she loves Holman because it's so romantic that he's causing the weather for her.
Is it? Yeah. I wrote that down. I don't know.
She only loves him when she realizes that it's all about her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is sad. Poor Holman. But, they end up...
It's a very tropey love story, this one.
Yeah. It is. It is. And, Somewhere Over the Rainbow starts playing because Kansas.
Yes, because the theme of the high school reunion is there's no place like home. Because of course it is. I think that in this little exchange, and I don't know exactly where it would have fit best, but I think that they're missing the landing for like the force of love has like spilled over into the weather. Like I think that I think they miss it. I think they almost get it, but I just don't think that there's a very powerful landing for that.
So close. And yet.
We get it. We all get it. But there's never that moment of like realization, I feel like. Maybe it's that Sheila just doesn't land that.
Right. Yeah. And then there's that one line. Did you notice? I think it was Scully that says, "Who knew reunions could be so wet?"
So wet. Yeah.
I'm like, Scully.
Mulder's face, though, he's delighted. He is back to being very happy that they're standing there.
Yes. Yes.
And like she looks at, like she kind of like gives him that little like look. Like she looks up at him a little bit, like over her shoulder, where she's like, "I did that for you. Like that was for you, Mulder." Like,
Yes.
Delighted.
They get each other. Oh, man.
And Holman says, you should try it sometime. Yes, please.
And all the shippers, huzzah.
I mean,
yes.
for sure.
Do it.
So good. Did you catch the little misdirect that they give us, though? Where, I forget, it's in there somewhere, after Sheila and Holman, we, like, kind of pan around the back of a redhead, like a red-haired person that is clearly kissing someone. It's the worst misdirect.
It's not fair at all.
No.
Not fair at all. And then the end, Sheila, we cut to a year later on the timeline. Oh my gosh, what? So, she's got a baby, and
Sure.
Holman's there doing the weather, and it's just all sweet and happy, and rainbows and bluebirds and sweetness.
The happy ending. Yeah. I mean, that Mulder and Scully are definitely not going to get. So, they have to give it to us with Sheila and Holman instead.
Yeah, exactly. We got to get it somewhere. Oh,
they're like, here, shippers, this is what you want.
Sticking it to us.
Yeah.
So sad.
I do think we should talk about why does Daryl get a happy ending? Daryl Moots.
I don't know. Does he, though?
I mean, he makes up with Sheila.
He and Sheila
not Sheila. Sorry, Cindy.
Cindy's going to give that man hell. You know it.
I hope so.
She's going to put him in his place, and he's going to be happily miserable with her, I think. Yeah. She's going to take care of him and take no shit. At least I hope.
Well, yeah, I really hope not. I think that's another, it's kind of a classic X-File thing where they give the bad guy, they kind of let him off the hook. But, yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Daryl
Moots. So we've got the mailbag. Let's dig into our mailbag, Cortlan. There were quite a few comments. Chris Henry says, a fun episode, not great, but definitely not terrible. It looked great in sunny California, as there's no way it would have worked in gray Vancouver.
I mean, I can totally understand why this episode would not be people's favorites. Yeah, like, I think that that's fair. It's not a typical X-File. It's not something that we would, like, if you're going to talk about what the show is, it's not this. This isn't it. So I can understand that.
All right, Christian Pont says, I really hated it the first time I saw it. I was very tired of novelty episodes, and I just couldn't tolerate it. Today, if I see it out of continuity, some parts still give me cringe, but in general, I find it quite funny.
Well, agreed. We had a scary weather episode in Vancouver, and it was definitely very different. Even, honestly, we had a scary weather episode with unrequited love. Like, DPO is about a scary guy who can control the weather, who loves someone who doesn't love him back. It is. Season 6 is full. I mean, agreed. Season 6 is full of episodes like this that don't quite fit the mold that we're used. I like it, but that's just my personal preference for that kind of fun. I like situations where we see Mulder and Scully have to work around things that are outside their norm, but that's just me. And I'm again, it's understandable if that's not your favorite part of the show.
Mm-hmm. I think I would probably use the phrase experimental episodes rather than novelty, but that's being nitpicky. It's a fair point.
Sure.
It's a fair point. Because there are definitely a lot of those types of episodes in this season, like you said. But, yeah, so, well, at least, now he finds parts of it funny.
Yeah.
And parts of it are very funny.
And parts of it do make me cringe too. Fair.
Yes.
Totally fair.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Tony Black says, even for the X-Files, this is a weird episode. It's easily the lightest and frothiest the series ever got. Sort of the pinnacle of season 6's brighter comedic penchant, in that the first half of that year, and a bounty for shippers in many ways, but it's quite bizarre, even taking all that into account. Fun, quite sweet, but I'm glad the show didn't dip into this well all that often. I agree with the last part, and I think I like frothy. It is frothy.
Yeah.
Definitely. And bizarre. But is it any more bizarre than, like you said, DPO controlling the weather because he loves Mrs. Kavit?
I think it's just the Rain King is abnormal in that it's a happy ending. This one ends. It's sappy and happy, and that makes it feel much weirder in the continuity of the X-Files.
Right. So Russell Hugo says, for all of its faults, there are quite a few things to appreciate, especially Clayton Rohner's wonderful performance. Echoing Tony's comments, it's actually a nice variation to have after 6 seasons, and it was a good experiment to try.
Agreed.
So Dan Gear says, not the series' best moment, but I don't hate it. Natalie Say says, Mulder and Scully aren't great in this episode, but the 4 supporting characters are outstanding and all very funny. This has become my favorite episode recently. So there you go.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's a light note to end on.
It is.
Thanks, Natalie. So yeah, I mean, I think that about covers it. Like, frothy. It's been a frothy time hanging out with you, Cortlan.
An outpouring of good times. A downpouring. Good time. Torrential.
It's been a torrential good time. Cortlan, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CWB. It's my initials, all spelled out. So CEE, the word double, the letter U, and then the word B. It's all spelled out. Anyway, it's really complicated. Don't worry. You can find me. Just search for my name. It's easier. And you'll find me doing some hand lettering, calligraphy stuff in my free time.
Beautiful. I always enjoy your work.
Oh, thanks.
It's so pretty. Yeah, so you can find me, Sarah Blair, on Twitter at Sarah L. Blair. And on Instagram, I'm author.sarah.blair. I write when I'm not talking about the X-Files. But, you know, I would say that my books would appeal to X-Files fans, for sure. There's definitely some X-Files Easter eggs in there. Darkness Shifting is my first book, and then you can find my new book, Darkness Loves Company. It's available. You can find it on Amazon. Devil Koalas, man. You can't beat that. That is definitely scarier than weather. So, also, you can find the X-Cast at the X_cast on Twitter, and on our Facebook group, the X-Files Basement, an X-Cast podcast fan group. And that about does it. So we will see you next time. But until then, always remember, trust no one.
Elsewhere on We Made This. Cerebral Jukebox.
I think as I've got older, I don't care what people think of my music taste anymore. I'm happy to admit that, like, I really missed the boat because, like, in the 2000s, I was really angsty teen and I was approaching Linkin Park on the daily. And I'd be ashamed to admit that I kind of like Savage Garden and Craig David, and I had this very strange diet. But now I go back and listen to all these, like, 2000s UK garage tracks, and they were absolutely astounding.
Shipwrecked and Comatose, a Red Dwarf podcast.
Maybe I'm not coming at it from an educated point of view because, you know, not only am I a man, I'm gay. You know, I don't deal with pregnancy.
Are you?
And
have you ever told us that before?
I was trying to make a serious point.
Hey, we love you, you know that.
Yeah, but yeah, you have got a good point, Colin. This is a bit of a sausage fest episode. Maybe we should have got a lady involved.
The Movie Palace.
This is a film you'd seen before we decided to discuss these two. Is that right? This was a rewatch for you?
No, this was a first-time viewing. Bells of St. Mary's, I watched for the first time last Christmas and really enjoyed it. And I had heard many things about the first one, especially how it had, swept at the Oscars, but I had never watched it. So when we started to discuss, a film to talk about for the holidays, I thought this is a great excuse to watch the first one.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network. The Xcast and X-Files podcast was created by Tony Black and is produced and hosted by Carl Sweeney, Sarah Blair and Kurt North.
You can find the podcast on Twitter at the X_cast, on Facebook by typing in the Xcast, and in our group, X-Files Basement, the Xcast podcast fan group, and on Instagram at the Xcast pod.
Don't forget, you can support the show by becoming a member on Patreon. Our patrons get early access to episodes, behind-the-scenes chats with our hosts and a thriving community of X-Files, and other premium interviews and specials. To find out more and subscribe, you can go to patreon.com/thexcast. That's patreon.com/thexcast.
We are also part of the We Made This podcast network, full of popular culture shows, including our Millennium series, The Time Is Now. You can find all of our shows at our website, wemadethispod.com, or via Twitter at wemadethispod.
Thanks for listening and keep watching the skies.